Ladies and gentlemen, Mollusk here, and we're going to talk about Season 4 Snow. So Snow is Scatter's thematic mascot, so I have some heavy bias towards him, her, it already, but I think they made some good changes here. To give some context, I tried using Snow in Season 3, and honestly, it just really didn't work. The circumstances in which its abilities came up to be useful were very rare, and really not very impactful when they did come up. The vast majority of the time, Snow was basically just 3 points and momentum for my opponent. And the amount Fahad did for the team by comparison just utterly eclipsed this poor Wolfie. But now things have changed a little, I foresee. What are the changes? Well, basically, Snow's kick got increased to 6 inches, playbook stayed the same, kept the anatomical, pack mentality changed to 6-inch aura, and instead of Ooh Ball, he's gained Loved Creature. And these are really big because they target very precisely Snow's major playstyle. Let's unpack this. Snow's defining ability is this pack mentality. Hunters players don't tend to be the toughest models, and they can benefit hugely from successful counterattacks, which this is a free, if somewhat budget version of. If the opponent isn't careful, this can wreck an activation, but what limits its strength is the fact that it doesn't work on knocked down models. And most of the time, any kind of model that's going to be doing any kind of significant damage that you're going to care about will have a knockdown and will use it as the first order of business. Additionally, the fact that you have to make the dodge directly towards Snow gives the enemy options to negate the ability with positioning of models and terrain. The 2-inch increase to the aura's range is nice. You can protect more of your team with that aura. But that's not really the biggest deal, as I think I maybe mentioned before with Scatter's legendary. This 6-inch aura range can be a bit of a trap, as it encourages you to bunch up your models to try to make most of the effect. And with Hunters, bunching up tends to be something you want to try to avoid. In my opinion, the biggest benefit of the 6-inch aura is the greater flexibility you now have in angling the aura to get the best use of it for protecting the 1 or 2 specific models you want to protect, and allowing Snow to stay a little bit further back from the fight and the danger. Let's talk a little bit more about danger. So where does Snow like to position? He likes to position in the Hunter's half of the pitch, around the centre, to get best use out of pack mentality. And where do the enemy's aggressive heavies tend to head? Yep, that area. And with defense 4 and 8 hitboxes, Snow is something of a tasty little snack to generate some momentum, kill an activation and get a point, without too great an influence investment. However, in Season 4, he now has Loved Creature. I think literally every other Canid model in the game had this. And Snow came, did he come second in the mascot popularity contest? I think he did. In any case, Steamforgers have seen reason and finally given him this character trait. So now if you damage Snow, you give the rest of the Hunter team +1 tack. And Hunters love getting +1 tack, as their playbooks sort of seem to be designed with the idea that they're not going to be getting that many bonuses from crowdouts, because of how spread they generally like to play. Making tackles and big dodges easier to hit for Scatter's team is great, and when Hunters start wrapping, their damage output and interesting damage reposition combinations are really quite powerful. So now in Season 4, the enemy is being asked a question when they go for Snow that's rather a bit more tricky than it was before. Let's move on to Snow's ball control. So I mentioned before that Snow likes to position in what we might call the defensive midfield. Being in such a position is good for recovering the ball after the Hunters concede a goal or a kick's gone wide, and then feeding it forward to your players. Previously, Snow had Ooh Ball, which helped with the retrieval of a ball that had been miskicked. It didn't work on kickoffs, but it was rare that Snow ever really got to use it without terrain or models getting in the way, and often he was engaged and would take a parting blow for his troubles, because one of the most reliable uses for Snow was simply as a crowd out for an aggressive upfield enemy model. So now in Season 4, Snow's lost that, and I honestly don't care. Adding a couple more inches to the kick distance, though, is quite nice for when Snow collects the ball and wants to feed it forwards to set up another goal, and also just helps feed the ball back to the team when collecting the initial kickoff, which I tend to do with mascots quite often. Thinking more aggressively, that kick potentially enables some mascot goals. Snow could charge or sprint up the pitch 7 inches or 9 inches if he's going across Scatha's fast ground and tackle the ball, which could, if he's got Scatha's blessing, be a momentous tackle double dodge. If she's got a legendary up, even a triple dodge, or if he manages to get 4 successes, it could be a tackle double, push dodge, following up with that 6-inch range kick. Probably not going to happen very often, but yeah, it's still a potential threat. And I'm sad that Loved Creature doesn't apply to Snow himself to assist with getting that wrap. So those are what I consider the main things. There is one more thing to mention, and that's the Feral Instincts for the anatomical precision to ignore armor that Snow retained. It never really used to come up very often for me because of the difficulty of finding spare influence for Snow. But I guess I did use it fairly often on turn 1 on my striker to try to massage the dice maths on a goal run. But following the release of Veteran Minx and Veteran Hearn now getting a bit better in Season 4, Feral Instincts might be a credible use of Last Light or Blessing of the Sunfather in certain situations. Which brings me on to models that Snow has particular synergies with. So we've got Veteran Minx and Veteran Hearn for momentum-fueled Feral Instincts. And I mentioned before about pack mentality being kind of limited because your models often end up knocked down at the start of an attack run. Well, it does so happen that the hunters have been slowly adding to their number of models that have good defenses like Defense 5. And so we've got Veteran Minx with a 5-1, Scatha with a Defense 5, Zerola with a Defense 5, Matagi with a Defense 5. All models that you'll be inclined to take in a Scatha team, and which opponents may find slightly harder to knock down, increasing your chances of getting away. And I've mentioned Scatha's ability to add to his speed and dodginess in retrieving the ball or going on a strike. So those are the major synergies I see. Which brings us finally to the question of when do you draft Snow? Well, he's retained his utility into Butchers, who tend to be damage focused, don't really want to do their knockdowns, or don't have as much access to them, and whilst their melee range is slightly increased, overall so have the Hunters, and so is their dodginess. So Snow's a prime candidate into that matchup. An honourable shout into the heavy armour teams like Blacksmiths and Masons, where Feral Instincts is more likely to have bigger impact. And I think generally in any game that Scatha is trying to go goal heavy and avoidance focused. But otherwise, I think in most cases Fahad is still the easier and more efficient pick. And let's just do Fahad quickly because he didn't change, or she didn't change, or whatever it is didn't change. And I can't be bothered to do a separate video on this thing. And so with Furious and Isolated Target, and a very wrappable playbook, Fahad's not draining on your influence, basically offers free momentum and some damage every turn of the game. Defense 5 and Nimble, only 6 hitboxes, but Defense 5 and Nimble is a good defensive tech. Fast, and linked with Zerola for at least comparable ball retrieval and scoring tech that Snow has, or potential that Snow has. So really, honestly, I think Fahad is the thing we're going to see and choose to take most of the time. Oh, he's also easier on your clock. Did I mention that? But Snow certainly has got better. Offers something to both Scatha and Theron, possibly more to Scatha. But Theron likes Loved Creature and dodges too. And I'm looking forward to putting him back on the table. Take care, guys. Cheers.